You're running through the forest with no weapons, knowing that somewhere a hunter is stalking you like an animal, waiting to take the perfect shot. You have no clue how close he is, but you know he's out there.
If this sounds familiar, it's because it's the plot to a short story written by Richard Connell called The Most Dangerous Game. But what you probably don't know is that this actually happened in real life as well. Now sit back, get comfy in your padded cell, and listen as I tell you the true chilling tale of The Most Dangerous Game. Published in 1924, The Most Dangerous Game is about a wealthy man who lures a big game hunter to his private island and hunts him down for sport.
This book became very popular in the century since it's been published, and many other books, TV shows, and movies have taken inspiration from this classic tale. It hasn't merely been works of fiction that have been inspired by this book, however. In the 1970s in Anchorage, Alaska, a real-life psychopath decided to play the most dangerous game for real. Robert Christian Hansen was born in Estherville, Iowa in 1939 and grew up working in his father's bakery. His father was very strict, and though Robert was naturally left-handed, he was forced to do everything with his right hand. This caused him to develop a stutter, something which led to him being mocked throughout his childhood by fellow classmates. Since he had no friends, he decided to take up the hobby of hunting, since it was something he could do on his own. Before long, his favorite aspect of the sport became the act of stalking his prey. He took all of his anger and violent tendencies out on the animals in the woods, which satisfied him for a while. In 1957, Robert joined the U.S. Army Reserves and married a woman he met in Pocahontas, Iowa. In 1960, Robert and a fellow bakery employee burnt down a school bus garage, but he was arrested and jailed after the employee ratted him out. His wife then left him while he was in prison. Just under 2 years after he was sentenced to prison, he was released. He then spent a few more stints in jail for petty theft shortly after. Even with all these red flags, he somehow convinced someone else to marry him, and they moved to Anchorage, Alaska in 1967. Robert then opened up a bakery, had 2 children with his wife, and became a well-liked man throughout the community. His charade of being a typical family man held up for a while until his true dark tendencies began to break through once again. He was arrested twice in late 1971, once for kidnapping and attempted assault of a local housewife, and another time for attacking a woman. It is believed that his first murder took place around this time as well, which catapulted his 11.5-year most dangerous game killing spree. The way he would acquire his victims is he would pick up a woman in his car, hold her at gunpoint and force her to go back to his home, and then take her into the middle of the woods and hunt her as if she were an animal, before shooting or stabbing her. Authorities believe Robert's first victim was 18-year-old Celia Van Zanten. Her body was found on Christmas Day, 1971, 3 days after she had been kidnapped. This murder has never been officially connected to Robert, but it did occur on about the same day as he was arrested for assaulting the other woman.
For more than a decade, Robert Hansen played this same sick game over and over with different women. On June 13, 1983, he abducted his final victim. This particular hunt, however, would not go according to plan.
He approached 17-year-old Cindy Paulson and offered her $200 for favors. When she got into the car, he pulled his gun and took her back to his home, where he tied her up and tortured her. Afterwards, he handcuffed her and drove her to Merrill Field Airport, where he told her he was going to fly her to his cabin, which was located in an area that is only accessible by boat or plane. While Robert was loading the cockpit of the plane, Cindy managed to escape out of the back seat of the car. She ran, still handcuffed and barefoot, towards 6th Avenue. Robert noticed her missing and chased after her, but luckily, she managed to flag down a passing car before he got to her. The driver of the car drove her to the nearby Mush Inn, where Cindy ran inside and begged the clerk to let her use the phone to call her boyfriend. The driver that picked her up called the police as he suspected something was wrong. When police arrived at Mush Inn, they found out she had hitchhiked to another motel, Big Timber Motel. When they went to Big Timber Motel, they found her still handcuffed and barefoot in one of the rooms. They brought Cindy to the police station to get a report of what had happened to her. and though she told them everything that happened, Robert managed to spin a wild tale about her trying to extort him for money. Due to Robert's local popularity, he was not initially considered a suspect. Unbeknownst to the local police, however, was that Alaska State Police were already on the hunt for a suspected serial killer in that area, and Robert Hansen was their prime suspect. Several exotic dancers and prostitutes were turning up dead. The police brought in the help of the FBI for this case, led by John Douglas, who helped pioneer the field of criminal profiling. Agent Douglas put together a criminal profile based on various witness accounts and injuries inflicted on the victims. One conclusion he was able to come to from this profile: the killer had a stutter. Based on the fact that Robert Hansen fit this profile and owned a bush plane and cabin in the area where the bodies were turning up, police were able to obtain a warrant to search his house. What they discovered in this investigation was more gruesome than they could have possibly imagined. They found that Robert would take the women out into the wilderness near the Knik River and set them free. They'd run thinking he was setting them free to fend for themselves. What he was really doing was stalking them like prey. He'd arm himself with a .223 caliber Ruger Mini 14 rifle and hunting knife. Then he would hunt them for hours or even days sometimes. He would toy with them, sometimes shooting near them in order to scare them until he was ready to finish them off like animals. Police found in Robert's home a map of the Knik River area hidden in the headboard of his bed. On this map, tiny X's were etched all over. These were found to be the kill and burial sites of his victims. There were 37 X's in all, and some of them were exact spots where police had recovered bodies. Other evidence found in his home consisted of jewelry taken from his victims as trophies. In 1984, with evidence mounting against him, the butcher-baker Robert Hansen confessed to the murder of 17 women. He was sentenced to 461 years plus life in prison without the possibility of parole, and was incarcerated at Spring Creek Correctional Center in Seward, Alaska. He died in 2014 of natural causes. 12 of the remains of the victims were exhumed by police and returned to their families. In 2013, a movie called The Frozen Ground was made about this case, starring John Cusack, Nicolas Cage, and Vanessa Hudgens.
Sometimes the most morbid works of fiction can be twisted into reality by people with the sickest of fantasies. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in to another video. Please feel free to voluntarily commit yourself to Asinine Asylum by hitting that like and subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you can be first in line for more true horror stories like this. It's farewell for now, my patients, and I'll see you in the next video.